Well, the Commanders might have fallen to the Bengals in their second preseason game, but they emerged with far more victories on the field. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we're here to talk about everything involving the Washington Commanders. Now, as I mentioned, the boys did fall to the Bengals 31-17 out in Northwest Stadium for the first time in the preseason, but there were a lot, hear me, a lot of positives to take from this game. This is my official match reaction, which means that we're going to go through the game, talk about the big plays, and at the end, we're going to pick out the 5 players to remember from Bengals 31, Commanders 17. We are going to go over the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything in between, guys. So if you are fired up for the return of this series, and if you're fired up for more NFL action, seeing Jaden Daniels in the starters for the first time, hit the like button in this video. That is the number one way you can support me. I'm recording this late at night, right after the game. Probably going to get it out early Tuesday morning after I finish editing it. But again, the like button if you want to support me. Hit the subscribe button if you are new here or if you're a returning viewer but you have not clicked it. And as we go through this, these are all my opinions. So do me a favor, make sure that you leave your comments. Let me know what your biggest takeaways were. Now, a couple of things that we need to discuss before we actually get into what happened, and these came from the press conference afterwards. Dan Quinn told the media that he addressed Brian Robinson Jr. on Saturday, informed him he would be held out of the contest. He then went ahead and told the team afterward. Also, the Commanders tried to play Trey Amos in this game. The rookie cornerback warmed up, had a little bit of tightness in his hamstring, and they ultimately decided not to play him. That is why he did not make it out onto the field. Now, immediately, as soon as the game had started, even before it started, there was a storyline that was taking place involving Terry McLaurin. And it didn't have anything to do with receivers failing to separate or make contested catches out on the field. It was because Trey Hendrickson, who is in the middle of a hold-in just like McLaurin, made the trip from Ohio all the way down to little old Landover, Maryland to watch the game. Meanwhile, Terry McLaurin had an excused absence, so he arranged it with the team in the front office, but he still didn't show up. And I just got to say, the optics on that are absolutely atrocious. Hendrickson, I feel as if he's been done way dirtier by the Bengals, who are a notoriously stingy franchise and won't give him his money, yet he can still travel on the road on the team plane to go support his teammates. Terry is acting as if he wants nothing to do with this organization. And I get it. This is him continuing to stare down the line in the sand and say, look, I'm not budging. You're not budging. We've got a problem because we're not going to get this solved. And I get that he has to live up to this tough guy, bad guy sort of role that he's taken on. But when he's done things like he's gone around after practice, talking to the media, signing autographs, hugging Jaden Daniels' mom, shaking hands with Josh Harris, but something as simple as this, it just continues to feel like he is mishandling this entire situation. Listening to the sideline interview, talking about Trey Hendrickson, he said that he made it clear that he felt like he was not it being the scapegoated or left hung out to dry. He said he's a very blessed man. He's lucky to have the opportunity to play professional football for a living. He said he was proud to be a Bengal. He was transparent, said that the Bengals have come to him with the correct average annual value and the correct amount of years, but not the right guarantees. Meanwhile, with McLaurin, it's like we have no clue what he wants, what the team is offering him. It's just a total mismatch. And when you think about how poorly the Bengals front office is run, and also how much I do trust the Commanders front office, you would feel as if these two players and the way they're handling these situations would be swapped. But that was all before the game. Let's actually get into the fun stuff, which was what happened out there on the field. I want to break down my review into different sections before we do jump into the 5 biggest players. So let's call this first section play calling tendencies and game trends. The Commanders defense was going cover 0 or cover 1 with a lot of guys dropped down into the box very, very heavily on 3rd down and 4th down, fully living up to what they have told us all throughout the offseason. Dan Quinn, Joe Witt Jr., they have made it abundantly clear that they want to turn up the heat on their opponents. They will give up big plays, like you saw Noah Igbenogany get flagged for the pass interference on Jamar Chase that ended up leading to a great touchdown pass by Joe Burrow. But they're also going to come up with a couple of big plays of their own. I thought Dietrich Wise got done incredibly dirty on that sack on Joe Burrow, which ended up being called for a horse collar, which unfortunately was the correct call. but Dietrich Wise made contact first with the shoulder, and he and Burrow and the offensive line were spinning in a bunch of circles. He was just kind of just lashing out at anything he could. It was a very unfortunate call, but I don't hold him against him. I thought he did a great job. And the Commanders were successful in turning up the heat on the Bengals. I felt as if their connectivity, their communication, their speed, their physicality, all leaps and bounds ahead of where it started in the regular season last year. And this is only the preseason. This is the first time playing for a lot of these guys on defense. I also thought the tackling was much improved across the board compared to last week and also a lot of last season. Later, once the third string defense got in, the Bengals were just running all over them. But if we're talking about the players who are actually going to make this roster, actually going to be able to get out on the field, the first and the second stringers, I thought they did a really good job. And that was with Marshawn Lattimore being very limited in his snaps, Mike Sainristil still being limited, Trey Amos not playing, Bobby Wagner not playing. Did Sainristil even play at all, actually? I think he did, but I can't even remember him being out there for too long, so must have been a quick stint for him. The pass rush, Dorrance Armstrong, Dietrich Wise, Johnny Newton, Sheldon Day, even Cleveland Farrell, they all had splash plays, whether they were sacks or pressures or just doing the right thing, rushing as a team, holding their rush lane integrity, setting the edge so that they kept the quarterback in the pocket. I thought they all took turns making plays. And this also feeds into what Joe Wood Jr. has said. Keep in mind, by the way, Von Miller, who might lead this team in sacks, did not play. Joe Wood Jr. has said all throughout the offseason that he's not confident or he's not going to guarantee that one guy will get to 10, 12 sacks, but he's confident that the defense is going to be able to generate enough pressure. And with all of these bodies, yes, you might not have the superstar, but over the course of the game, if you're getting guys to only play 30, 40% of snaps, and you can constantly rotate and bring them in fresh, and they're 100% going against an 80% lineman, even if that lineman is quote unquote better than they are, they can still win one rep. And all it takes is to win one to end up making a big play that changes the course of the game. So really impressed by the pass rush. Jacob Martin deserves a special shout out here because a couple of weeks ago, I didn't even have him making the 53-man roster, but I thought he was outstanding tonight. He was credited with half a sack, 3 quarterback hits, 4 pressures. He was awesome. He was there to make plays of his own. He had this incredible play off the bottom of the screen against the left tackle where he just flew right past him. Elite speed, elite bend. Didn't end up getting to the quarterback. I believe it was Jake Browning who completed an excellent pass there, but the pressure was on in an instant. And he was there for cleanup and mop-up duty. I thought he just played an outstanding game. Some depth chart notes. I said that I wanted to pay close attention to who were the first receivers to enter the game. Well, the first play was a 2-receiver set, ended up being a run. It was a jet sweep to Deebo Samuel, but it was Deebo and Luke McCaffrey who were out on the field. The first third receiver to join a 3-receiver set was Jalen Lane, and those 3, that was kind of what we expected. Kane Medrano also got to start in the linebacking core with Bobby Wagner not playing. He started next to Frankie Louvu. Thought that was interesting. Upon first watch, I didn't see anything too great, but also nothing too terrible from Kane. I am going to go back and watch the All-22 once it drops tomorrow, and maybe I'll be able to update my thoughts. Nothing popped out about his performance, but on the one hand, that is good that it didn't seem like he messed up anything, and also is encouraging that he was able to earn a starting job without Bobby Wagner being available for this game. Could mean that he's the top rotational linebacker who comes off the bench when those top 2 guys do need a blow. Michael Gallup, I could be wrong, but he appeared to be towards the bottom of the depth chart based on when he entered the game. Again, I could have missed him earlier on, but I really didn't see him all that lot, and I only saw him towards the end of the game. I was also intrigued to see that Tay Martin got into the game very early. I think it might have even been in the first quarter, but he didn't seem to get many reps. Meanwhile, Jacory Brooks, who has been a standout in camp and a standout of the first game, thought he was the Commanders' best player in that preseason game against the Patriots. He didn't get in until late, but then he did come up with a really nice catch there. So we'll see where the chips continue to fall in that wide receiver battle. It is still very much alive, but a nice update on that. Also, while we are talking about receivers, let me just give some credit to Jalen Lane because unfortunately, he was not one of my 5 players who we're going to talk about in just a couple of minutes here, guys. I promise I'm getting to it. But I was encouraged to see him lining up not just in the slot, but also outside, beating his man with his route running technique. Now, still some room to be done. He caught a pass on a curl route but he did a very poor job of stopping and turning. Once he had actually turned around, he was actually still kind of like jogging backwards. Got to clean that up, but he was able to beat guys. He had a really nice diving catch through coverage, through a pass interference. He was able to hold on to the ball. He looked good. He looked like he could legitimately be a starter in the NFL by week 4. And he could certainly be on the field in 3 receiver sets. So that was really nice. KJ Osborne did have a really nice nice catch in traffic. Took a massive hit from behind right as he caught it. And then Jacory Brooks, like I mentioned, had a really nice diving catch on 3rd down. And shout out to Bill. Jacory Croskey-Merritt had good blitz pickup on that play. Getting really close to the 5 standout players. Let me talk about the backup quarterbacks. The Commanders are in trouble. Josh Johnson is not the guy. His interception was egregious. It was a corner out to Jalen Lane. First of all, Lane didn't even beat his man. And second of all, the safety over the top read it all the way. Ended up being an interception on the inside the 5-yard line. He still looks better than Sam Hartman, but that's just an unforgivable mistake. And then Sam Hartman, man, when we were going into halftime, I was like, Sam, look, you're a good-looking dude. Go get yourself an H&M sponsorship and just be a model until you get to like 40, 50 years old. Maybe even beyond then. David Beckham's still doing it. Brad Pitt's still doing it. There's hope for you, Sam, because this quarterbacking stuff, the way it's going right now, he looks awful. I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders did cut him. I almost wonder if they're going to allow him to just stick around and then cut him when the 53-man roster is due and move him to practice squad, simply because he is best friends with Jaden Daniels and they don't want to upset him. But I would be shocked if he is on the 53-man roster as QB4, as QB3. I don't even know if the Commanders are going to keep 3 quarterbacks at the rate that this is going, because this will be a problem if Jaden gets injured and Mariota, with his large contract for a backup, if he's not on the team next year, they really got to dig in and find a new backup quarterback. The run defense, not a whole lot to talk about. I did feel Javon Kinlaw's size and power. There were a couple of reps where he just obliterated the guard. On one of them, he didn't even come close to the play. They were running away from him, but he still easily won his matchup. And then on another one, he was on the wrong side of it, but because he beat the guard so easily, he was able to lunge across behind the center, grab the running back, and drag him down to prevent a touchdown. That run was inside the 5-yard line. So really encouraging signs there. Will Harris on that same possession had an outstanding pass breakup at the goal line. That was good to see, because we know the safeties are going to be tested in man coverage while the team is running this cover 1, cover 0 system. And then the running game, which we are definitely going to talk about when we get to the standout players here. The first 6 carries the Commanders had went for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Debo looked fast and decisive. Chris Rodriguez bursting through the hole. He tied, get this, on the day that there's all the Brian Robinson Jr. controversy, and then he's not showing up to the game, and we find out that Dan Quinn told him not to show up, and they're probably going to trade him. On the day that all this is going on and there's all this unrest in the fan base, Chris Rodriguez on his first run ties Brian Robinson Jr.'s career long, 40 yards. Now, yes, it's the preseason, but they were going against the Bengals bottom ranked, but number 1 defense, like their first stringers. This is not something to ignore. That is massively important. And then as soon as that finishes and Chris Rodriguez finishes giving the Bengals the belt, Jacory Croskey-Merritt comes out and he has an explosive play. He gets a 27-yard run. Just this, it was fast and decisive, but it was also patient. It was a perfect combination of slow to fast to decisive to getting to the pylons, beating the man, getting to the corner. It was a GT counter. You had Wiley, and I forget who else was pulling with him, but they were coming across left to right. Bill waited for the blocks to get there. John Bates had an outstanding block where he just completely tossed the second-level defender, and he was off to the races. And again, 6 carries, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jaden Daniels obviously playing a role in that with his scramble. If the Commanders' running game is going to look like this, it's going to unlock so many new dimensions of the offense. The play action is going to look so much better. With the offensive line improving, you're not going to have to use as many chip blocks, which means you've got more receivers going off on routes, and maybe you're going to get some more man coverage just because you're able to create different looks and the defense isn't going to be able to spy Jaden as much because the running game's going this way and the passing game's going downfield. Like, it's just going to open up so much if you do have these explosive plays. And one thing that I got to respect about Chris Rodriguez and Jacory Croskey-Merritt is they're not just home run hitters. They're willing to grind out these plays, turn a 2-yard loss into a 1-yard gain. And I respect the crap out of that. And that is going to play a huge role for this team. Now, without further ado, we're 15 minutes into the recording here. Let's get to the 5 players to remember. We're going to award 4 different colored boxes to players. We don't have to give 4, but we do have 4 to choose from. Red means I'm completely out. I don't want to see you ever again, or that was really bad. You lost us the game, something of that nature. Yellow is, okay, that was shaky, questionable. I'm definitely not liking where we're at, but I'm not giving up on you. Or if you're a great player, it's like, it was an off day, I expect more. A green is good job. That you did what you were supposed to, maybe even did a little bit more. We can win games with you playing like that. And then a dark green is a game ball. We're not always going to give out game balls. Usually we don't have game balls and losses. However, I do have one tonight because the first string offense and first string defense both looked good. The final score, I don't really care about it. Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson kind of threw the final score away, but I was impressed by the performances of the starters. So we do have a game ball to give out. As I was saying, my 5 boxes from week 1 of the preseason, we had Dom Hampton with the yellow, Josh Conerly Jr. with the green. Don't remember. Jacory Brooks had a green. Sam Hartman had a red, and I can't remember who the final green was. But without further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump into the 5 players to remember from week 2 preseason, Bengals versus Commanders. We're going to start it off with a yellow for Luke McCaffrey. Now, look, I'm not going to judge Luke. I'm not going to call him a bust before he even gets a chance to play his second NFL season. He is still new to the position. He only played 2 years of receiver in college, converted from quarterback. Looks like he's going through some physical changes, might have added some size. His technique reportedly has looked better than it did as a rookie. But with all that being said, I just want to know, like, where is he? What is he currently doing? I'm looking for him on the box score, and yeah, he doesn't even show up. He didn't get a target thrown his way, or he didn't get a ball thrown his way, meaning he didn't even get a target. So obviously he didn't get a reception. He didn't do anything. Now, I can say in his defense, he's trying to contribute. He's out there on special teams. He's actually been solid in kick coverage. But when you're drafted in the 3rd round and you're a receiver, that's not to be making tackles on kickoffs. That's to be contributing to the passing game led by one of the NFL's elite quarterbacks. And I get it that he wasn't really out there with Jaden. On Jaden's series, the Commanders didn't even throw the ball one time. But still, to get 0 targets after I don't believe he had a catch. I don't believe he had a catch against the Patriots, and he had less than 200 receiving yards in his entire rookie season. So far, this 3rd round pick investment is not even close to paying off. This is not paying off for a 7th rounder. So, Luke, it's a yellow. Again, I'm not going to call you a bust until I give you the chance to play a second professional season. But with the way where we are right now, things are not going in a positive direction. So I have my eyes on you, and not for the best of reasons. I'm going to be honest. My 4th box, really the second one so far, but number 4, I'm actually going to split it down the middle here. I want to give it to Chris Rodriguez and Jacory Croskey-Merritt because they both deserved boxes. However, there were 3 other people that I also wanted to add to this, so I didn't have space to give them each their own individual boxes. But you know what? They both represent the running game, and they both inspired very similar feelings, and they play the same position, so I thought that it was appropriate. Now, let me start with Chris Rodriguez. Again, for him to be aware of what's going on with Brian Robinson and also sense that this is his opportunity after being a practice squad guy for the last few years, really not getting many opportunities last season. But once he did, he comes in and he takes advantage. It was against the Bengals. And then I think it was against the Buccaneers or the Falcons. I can't remember which one, but he actually ended up playing a much larger role than expected. And he did the same thing tonight, and he was really good to start the game off with a 40-yard run, which again ties B-Rob's career long. It was fittingly ironic that, yes, the Commanders are losing a player who might have been able to contribute, but they might be better for it now that these other players are getting these opportunities. And of course, they're going to clear up some cap space, maybe get some draft capital back, and overall just be able to improve the roster. Now, he's not going to be much of a receiving threat. That much is evident. but he showcases vision and power. And now they slimmed down, lost about 10, 15 pounds or so. He actually looks a lot more fluid and fast, and he can break away from the defense like he showed you tonight. You don't need him to be a high volume guy, but he's big enough that on 3rd and 1s or 3rd and goals, he's gonna be able to slam into the defense and get you that 2 yards that you need on those important conversions. So Chris Rodriguez certainly deserves to be there. And then Jacory Croskey-Merritt, as if his stock wasn't going through the roof, for him to rip off that explosive run, that 27-yard touchdown again on that GT counter where you had the left tackle and the left guard pulling across, and he waits for the blocks to set up, is able to slip through them as they are being established, and then to put his foot in the ground, make the cut, and burst to the goal line and get in. It's everything that the Commanders wanted to see, the Commanders fans wanted to see, and that they largely didn't see with their running game in years past. He looks really good fighting through contact. He's willing to do the dirty work. He basically, I don't want to say he refuses to take a loss, because he did have some negative plays, but those were also influenced by the terrible blocking of the 3rd string offensive lineman in the second half, specifically in the 4th quarter. But he's able to break tackles. He's powerful. He's relentless. The legs are always turning. He's fast. He's decisive. He's got vision. Not saying that he's going to be a 1,200-yard rusher this season, but I do believe in the hype that he can be the number 1 back, and that Chris Rodriguez and Jeremy McNichols and Austin Eckler and him can form a really strong running back committee. So C-Rod and JCM, mixed up their names there, they both deserve a green box, and that's what they get. Now let's go over to Jacob Martin, who is going to get a green box as well. Somebody, again, who I wanted to make sure that he got his just due, because he was not high on my radar. I had him missing the 53-man roster when I put out my projections a couple of weeks ago. But I was so impressed by his speed off the end. He had that rep again against the left tackle where he just completely flew past him, got bend, got a pressure. Again, Jake Browning completed the pass, but Jacob Martin was there in an instant. He made that ball come out so fast. And when you consider that with Von Miller and Dorrance Armstrong, these other pass rushers, he's going to be able to rest up and use that speed in key moments. Frankie Louvu also add him into the mix. I just feel like this guy could suddenly, out of nowhere, make a legitimate contribution to this roster. He was there to play cleanup on a couple of other sacks back in preseason week 1 when Johnny Newton got the sack fumble. It was Jacob Martin who ripped inside so fast that he dragged Will Campbell with him and set up that exit stunt for Johnny Newton to get Drake May on the ground. So I'm just so impressed with him. He's shown individually, he's shown as a teammate. And as an edge rusher, that's not always the easiest thing to do, but he absolutely deserves to be here. And I've got my eye on him for very good reasons moving ahead into the future. Our second to last, our penultimate square here, we're going to go with the green square for John Bates. Now, I don't know how many of these he's going to get throughout the regular season, but he absolutely deserves it, because coming off a summer in which he inked a big extension, and a lot of people were questioning, why are you paying that type of money for a blocking tight end? Well, with Zach Ertz being 34 years old, and with Ben Sinnott still somewhat failing to make an impression, not even somewhat, Ben Sinnott failing to make an impression, John Bates is going to have to get on the field. I tell you what, when he's making plays in the run game like he was tonight, it's almost like, it's funny because I was looking at clips of Darnell Washington earlier for the Steelers, and I'm thinking to myself, man, if he would just finally commit to becoming a tackle, he could be an all-pro tackle. John Bates, if he weighed 70 pounds more, maybe he would be at that level. He's still mobile enough that he's valuable enough to be used as a tight end, and he can make some receptions, and he can get to the second level and block down there. But man, even at his size, 240, 250, however big he is, he can absolutely toss dudes. He did a great job setting the edge on that Deebo Samuel jet sweep. He had a nice pickup on the Chris Rodriguez explosive run, and then he just literally threw the second-level defender on the Jacory Croskey-Merritt touchdown run. He was an animal. He was all over the place, influential in all three of those big explosive run plays. And like I said earlier, if the Commanders' running game is actually going to look like this is going to make Jaden Daniels' life so much easier, especially with an improved offensive line. So when opposing teams see John Bates out on the field and they know how strong the Commanders' offensive line can be, if they come out in a heavy personnel and John Bates is actually able to get a little bit of separation as a receiver, then watch out, because this offense could truly be something special. 22 personnel, 12 personnel, 13 personnel even, like John Bates has a role to play on this offense, and he did it tonight, and he will be doing it moving forward. And that brings us to our final player. We are going to give out a dark green square. We are going to give out a game ball today, our first of the 2025 NFL season. It's going to go to Josh Conerly Jr., who got a regular green square in the last video. Now he gets a dark green because I thought he was simply outstanding. He absolutely dominated the running game. He set the edge so well. He opened a bunch of holes. The all-22 is going to be awesome. There was a pass blocking rep where he actually lost the initial step. The edge rusher beat him to the inside, but even at a bad angle, he was able to reset his hands, anchor down, and the play just ended right there. Didn't give up a pressure, didn't give up a sack. Again, he was opening holes left and right. And it seems already as if, I don't know if it's his technique or his play strength, or if one's compensating for the other, or they both gotten better, but he was supposed to be getting bulldozed. That's what we heard. He was going to be susceptible to bull rushes. He played the entire first half, and I didn't even notice his speed. I noticed his technique, and I noticed his power, and I thought that he did just a tremendous job. And we know what Laramie Tunsil is going to be on the left. If Josh Conerly is going to get to that level on the right, then the Commanders really hit the jackpot. So to recap, my 5 players, we're going to get a yellow for Luke McCaffrey, green for Chris Rodriguez and Bill Croskey-Merritt, green for Jacob Martin, green for John Bates, and a game ball dark green for Josh Conerly Jr. Guys, that is going to do this. Do it for my official Bengals Commanders recap. Make sure you go to the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are below. Like this video if you did enjoy it. You want to support me. You want to support the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 1,500 subs. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.